proportion of the top management of several of these companies. Today we've got a couple of companies who are headed by Indians. I think Motorola is headed by an Indian. Nokia Siemens Networks is headed by an Indian. So, again, this is a very unique thing and it's a very rapid thing, and that's only about heading the organization. And if you talk about the number of people in senior and top management, then it's a mind-blowing figure. I mean, I think we'd probably, other than originating countries like the US, etc., we'd probably be one of the largest represented organizations. And the same thing, mind you, the same thing has not, even though China is ahead of us, the same thing has not happened to Chinese talent. You don't find Chinese talent heading organizations except for wonderful Chinese companies who exist. In the other organizations you don't find. So India in that sense is unique, So that's another very, very major thing. Now, today telecom, for all companies in the industry, India is a must-have in their portfolio. So we're very much there, and even in a recession, if you saw the billions of dollars that poured into the country for acquisitions like what Uninor did, it's fascinating. In fact, Telenor actually got into a scrap with its shareholders because they said we have to be in India, and there was a lot of resistance against putting so much money into it. So those are kind of the unique features of what is happening in telecom today and why India has a fabulous space in it. You started. If you look at the talent perspective in this basic journey, what has happened is you started with what was essentially a telecom with a cordless with more range. In '95, everybody used it like a cordless with a little more range. And today, you've got a computer in your pocket, and it also does that fascinating thing of delinking where you are from what you do. You could be anywhere and you could be doing anything. That's the phenomenal place to which telecom is really heading. Obviously, this links very much to the people, because if you look at what they used to do in '95 and what they do today and what they intend to do tomorrow, it's a very, very different kind of set of people that they will need to do all these things. And the way telecom is headed forward, definitely the talent landscape is going to change dramatically, as it has been changing over the years. So if you look at the overall ecosystem today of telecom, you have the basic infrastructure sellers. Then you also have an intermediate of the infrastructure service providers. Then you have the service provision companies. And then you have the value-added services which are outside, who create the additional infrastructure. So that is anything from gaming, etc. And then you also have the handset players. So all put together, it's vast, and it's a rather confusing landscape for people who are not very much into it. Which is where we're glad to have the major players from virtually every segment over here. So I'm very, very happy therefore to introduce all of you, because I think between the four of you, we'll probably be able to get a very good idea of what the industry is like. We'll be able to resolve our queries, and it's a fairly senior set of people here. I'll start with Indrajit from Arison. Indrajit is the Assistant Vice President Talent Acquisition with Arison. He's currently the global head for the talent acquisition function at Arison, which used to be known as Hughes Software and Flextronics, and is one of the leading telecom software, communication software companies, in India and elsewhere in the world. Several telecom companies actually have outsourced software operations which are on site with Arison. So it's a fascinating company. He's been there since October 2000, and he has experience in handling talent acquisition at various places across the world. He was also the head of the HR BPO services for a while, so he's got experience in that space also. He started as a sales and marketing person, which is again a tribute to the way he has managed to mold himself into something which is so different, but which also means that he has hands-on experience of a specific function. He has his wife is a homemaker, and his son is employed with a consultancy. So thank you very much for being with us, Ajit. Then we have Manish. Manish is the head of talent acquisition at Ericsson in India. While Ericsson is his first exposure to telecom, he's actually taken a flying start in telecom. He's well into the ecosystem today. Proof of concept is that last year Ericsson hired close to 1,600 people under his guidance, which is actually 30% of their overall strength. So you're doing a great job, obviously, Manish. And before this he's been with Hewitt, SCR Technologies, and before that with Keen India. So that's a great career, and we just hope it keeps going just as it did in Ericsson also. We have with us Prashant Deo. Prashant Deo Singh is the head of talent acquisition at Airtel, that huge big daddy of Indian telecom. That unique success story, which is just stepped overseas. In fact, they've been overseas before also. Mauritius or Seychelles or something?
Sri Lanka.
No, Sri Lanka, yes. But before that, now Sri Lanka. Now I think Warid also. Warid. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. I mean, they almost delivered a coup in terms of MTN, but the government unfortunately got cold feet. Otherwise, Mr. Mittal would have taken a giant step for mankind, so to speak. So, I mean, that was a fascinating deal if it came to